In art, an image is composed of two pieces. The subject of the image in the composition is referred as the positive space that forms the main body of the piece. The space that surrounds the subject is the negative space. While the positive space has clearly defined boundaries, the negative space can be considered all that isn't part of the positive space. Artists often focus their attention on the body that forms the positive space. In black and white image, the subject is often drawn in black and the background is left white. When the colors are reversed, however, the subject itself is white and the background becomes black, surrounding the subject, shaping it. This process is known as a figure-found reversal. Negative space is not a leftover of the composition. It is as important as the object itself. The designer might choose to work the negative space to make the subject of the picture stand out even better by using a neutral or contrasting background. The inverse might also be applied. The focal point of the composition can be the negative space itself. For instance, the positive space can be manipulated to give shape to the negative space intentionally. The balance between positive and negative space is often desired to give importance to the subject while giving the eye a place to rest from the image, because not everything should be important in the composition and not everything can be tall, while the focus of the image is small. In architecture, positive and negative space are interpreted differently. In regards to the city mass, a complex agglomeration of buildings form the background for open, often public spaces. In this case, the positive space is represented by these empty slots in the urban mass, while the negative space is represented by the buildings. The opposite may also be held true. In a totally natural environment, a building will represent the positive space, taking the focus that the background is reinforcing. In this case, the natural mass shapes the background for the building, forming the negative space. In these city plans, buildings are represented in black while public spaces and roads of circulation are left in white. In these cases, positive and negative spaces may be either depending on the watcher's perspective. If one looks at the city mass, then the roads are the negative space, and the opposite, which is more likely to be the artist's intention, that the mass is the negative and the roads are the focal point, the positive space. Positive and negative spaces are not restricted only to the urban field. In Tadao Ando's Church of Light, the background walls were arranged as negative space so that the positive space be the coming light in the shape of a cross, which bathes the interior. Le Corbusier's Ville Savoy fills the positive space of its implantation, making the pre-existing nature become the villa's background as negative space. New York's Central Park feels the opposite of Ville Savoy, in the sense that it is the city that becomes the background for this beautiful public space. The Salk Institute by Louis Kahn becomes the negative space itself. The monumental project looks to frame the sea,